Well, I'm sure you've seen the title of this video, so you know there's not going to be any kind of opening bit here. But I look at this story from Newsweek and I say, this seems reasonable. Lynn Wood urges Mike Pence to review Hunter Biden allegations before certifying election. Sounds about right. Okay, Lynn Wood seems to be a reasonable and rational fellow. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. And I will see you all. Actually, wait, hold on. There's more. Trumpist lawyer Lynn Wood goes on unhinged rant suggesting Justice John Roberts is a murderous, I'll just say child abuser. Okay, wait. Hold on. You want to make an accusation against the Chief Justice? I guess fine. I don't like the idea of defamation and slander. Do you got evidence to back this up? Okay. Well, Lynn isn't sounding all that much like a reasonable or rational person at this point, but hold on. We all know the Daily Beast is biased. Okay, they must be smearing Lynn Wood. That's the only explanation. Wait a minute. What did Lynn Wood tweet? He tweeted, "I am fully aware of the onslaught of attacks being made against me based on my revelations about Chief Justice John Roberts. Before attacking me, maybe fair-minded people would first ask Roberts to tell the truth." Okay, all right. Well, Justice John Roberts, are you murdering children and abusing them? Okay. I guess. I don't know what we're supposed to do with that, but all right. What's this? Lynn Wood has added something to the bottom of this tweet. He says, "Or ask Jeffrey Epstein, he is alive." Okay, that's it. Come on. You can see what I tweeted in response to this, and boy, do I love Twitter. I tweeted, "This is exactly the kind of public statement Trump needs right now to confirm to the American people that he is winning. Once they hear what Lynn has to say, the light bulb turns on and they immediately associate Trump's legal battles with legitimacy and rationality." There are many Trump supporters who have been ragging on me because they said I've been disrespectful to Lynn Wood and Sidney Powell. My friends, please. What would you have of me? Do you think I'm going to just defend these tweets from him? The dude's hurting Donald Trump. He's hurting him to such an absurd degree, and so many of these staunch, hardcore Trump supporters can't see it. What do you think would happen if I go, no, I won't even go there. I'll tell you this. I was talking to the mail lady, right? Comes up to my house and she delivers mail. We're in the middle of nowhere, so it's a hefty trip. Especially, we get a ton of deliveries because, we're doing production and buying equipment and stuff. And I ask about even the tiniest surface level Trump world stuff. Now, the people out where I live, it is Trump country, to say the least. There's like a big giant banner that someone got printed. It says like Trump, make America great again. And it's just, they love the guy. And so I have these conversations with locals and they're asking me like, what's going on? Because they're right leaning, they're pro-Trump. And I'll say something like, oh, Trump said there's going to be a big wild protest on January 6th. And they go, oh, I didn't hear about that. But they love the guy. They love Trump. They voted for him. They support him. They want him to win. But they say, I didn't hear about these protests. What do you think would happen if these people in this area who love Trump but don't know a whole lot, if I went to them and started saying some of this crazy stuff, they'd be like, what? What? Epstein's alive? I mean, this is crazy. Okay, look, is there a possibility that all of what Lynn Wood is saying is true? Of course there's a possibility. It's not like we're talking about the moon being made out of cheese. These things exist in, the things being pushed exist in reality, right? If I said that, there was a guy who lived by me who sold rabbit furs that he went and hunted, you'd be like, man, that sounds reasonable. I guess that's a thing people do. And then if I said he used them to create a giant suit of rabbit skin armor, wasn't particularly effective, you'd be like, well, that's kind of weird, but also sounds like it could be true. Then if I told you that he was actually working with the government to create hybrid rabbit skin suits for the military, you'd be like, now that sounds pretty crazy. I mean, you could physically make a rabbit skin suit, I guess, but there's no way the government would do that, right? That's the point I'm trying to make. I'm not saying like there's a magic wizard flying around doing magic stuff. Sure, Lynn Wood is saying things that can be possible. But this is just, look, man, you look at his Twitter account and it's gone completely off the rails. But look at this, man. The dude's got almost 900,000 followers from posting these things. He's got this tweet. Let me look at this. The tweet from Lynn Wood, where he says Epstein's alive, has 32,900 retweets, and it's got 9,200 replies. There's a thing called ratioing. on Twitter. Most of you are probably familiar with it. If you're not, what it means is usually if you put out a tweet, more people share what you have to say than respond to it. But if the inverse happens, you've been ratioed. The ratio between responses and retweets is, inverted. This means you've said something usually stupid, not always. My biggest ratio was on this tweet. It was a great tweet, by the way, where I said, who do you trust more? And I gave people two choices, the government or the mainstream media. And it got 20,000 responses from people because it's hilarious. You can't answer the question. That was the point. It was funny. It's like, it's a binary choice. Which one do you trust more? I'm not saying you trust them all that much. Most people chose the government, surprisingly. But anyway, Linwood's not getting ratioed. People agree with him. They're sharing his tweets. They are sending them out. So let me tell you what's going on. And then I'll read you the more reasonable story from Newsweek. And just say this. Look, every day I try to convince people. I try to say, we need to have a reasonable approach to these accusations of fraud because we want to be fair and rational and reasonable. And we want people to feel like we're listening to them. You can't just ignore 74 million people. They're coming out with evidence. Let's at least have a court hearing on the merits. That's happened. Some of them have been on the merits. Many of them have been procedural removals. You're too late, you're too soon, or you've got no injury. And so people say, you didn't even hear what I had to say. And you're not doing anything to rectify the problems. Well, one of the problems we have is our court system isn't designed to actually solve legitimate, visible human problems for the most part. What I mean is, you could go to the court and say, here's proof someone did something bad, and they can say, too bad, we won't hear it. There's good reasons and for it, and we got to figure out ways to navigate this. Let me tell you something. There's something called the exclusionary rule. The general idea is, if a cop pulls somebody over for a BS reason, and then illegally searches the vehicle and then finds the murder weapon, well, sorry, you can't use it in court. They violated your rights. So you can actually know, hey, wait a minute, this person did something wrong. Too bad. The evidence has been tainted. See, that's the issue. We do this because we're often trying to protect ourselves and each other. So we put limitations on how these courts can function. If you are not the party in question, you can't sue. If you've waited too long, you can't sue. The problem is, all of these things are being used at different moments to justify why the lawsuits are no good. So you actually have, there was a lawsuit attempt pre the election, and they said, you can't sue because nothing's happened yet. And they said, okay, fine. Then the election happened and they sued and they say, it's too late. The election's already happened. And people naturally get angry about that. Now that I understand. And that's why we need to have a sit down to go through this, prove it or don't. We're not getting those. Now, on the right, you're getting like Republican hearings about it. But we need to be in a court of law with judges. Well, if the judges don't care, then people are going to feel disenfranchised and they're going to remove themselves. That's why I think we need this. Now, what do you think happens when I go to a regular person and I say just that, but then I go on to add that you've got Epstein, this guy claiming Epstein's alive, posting I'm sorry, man, this stuff's just over the top. I'm going to read this, okay? He's getting a ton of retweets on this, and I've not read most of his tweets. He says, Mark earlier confessed his sins to a small group of Christians. We are forgiving people, and we should be because of all sinners and need forgiveness. But if Mark thereafter continues his affair with Kristen I have no idea what he's talking about. Okay, that's just me, I guess. Fine. Here we go. Mark Meadows does not serve the president well. Not well at all. Mark only serves his own selfish agenda. Mark recently claimed to me that he is a man of God. Well, okay, you know what? That's irrelevant. That's not nearly as crazy as some of the other things wait, what? Will America survive as a free nation under God or be doomed to tyranny under CCP? DC's swamp and lust for power. Okay, listen. He goes on he has a bunch of tweets that are like this, that are going over the top. Him tweeting that Epstein was alive was like the straw on the camel's back for a lot of people because he can say crazy stuff and people rolled with it. Here's the story from Newsweek, so I'll stop ranting. Linwood urges Mike Pence to review Hunter Biden allegations before certifying the election. I just realized maybe you don't know who Linwood is, right? Well, he's a lawyer who's filing suits that help the president. Some have claimed he's on the team. Some have said he's not. You get the point. When he goes out and posts things and they're crazy, that's used as a blanket smear of all Trump supporters. Newsweek says, Wood has prominent Georgia attorney Lynn Wood has called on Vice President Mike Pence to examine unproven allegations against President-elect Joe Biden and his son. Wait. Unproven. We now have numerous stories confirming that Hunter Biden is under investigation. So sure, I guess you can call it unproven because he's under investigation. They say Wood has helped allies of President Donald Trump file challenges to the 2020 election results, but these have been overwhelmingly unsuccessful. On Wednesday, Wood took to Twitter and raised the issue of a laptop allegedly belonging to Hunter Biden. I am 100% confident that if VP or members of Congress spent 15 minutes reviewing the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop, they would never let Joey bribes Biden get within missile range of the White House, Wood wrote. Biden is a CCP puppet, criminal, and pervert. A few other things, none good. Now I'm going to stop right there. You know what? Bombastic, but I don't completely disagree. I mean, actually, mostly agree, I'd say. I think that Biden is compromised by China. A family confidant has said as much. Biden flew to China on Air Force Two with his son to negotiate, so his son could negotiate a private equity deal. Okay, like how much evidence do you need? The dude's been implicated so many times. So that's where I see Lynn Wood. I'm like, yeah, I hear you, man. That's important stuff. He's a criminal. I think so. He's definitely a pervert. We got tons of videos of it. The laptop in question caused a furor, blah, blah, blah. We get it. Okay. Now let's move on to what Daily Beast has to say. Now, my understanding is Daily Beast is, I think it was Newsweek for a period, like they were connected. I don't know if they're still part of the same company. But this is a more lefty publication. Okay, they write, pro-Trump lawyer Lynn Wood ramped up the crazy on Wednesday night by suggesting Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts was somehow involved in a Justice Antonin Scalia's death and part of we'll just call it a child abusing group. Wood, alongside on-again and off-again Trump campaign lawyer Sidney Powell, has been at the forefront of President Donald Trump's hopeless attempt to overturn Joe Biden's victory. Besides filing a slew of conspiratorial lawsuits alleging election fraud that have been laughed out of court, Wood has urged Georgian Republicans not to vote in next week's pivotal Senate runoffs because of his belief that the election will be rigged, and has filed an emergency petition with the Supreme Court to halt the January 5th election. There was a lawsuit. There were some documents filed by Lynn Wood where he said something like, I assert under plenty of perjury. And a collective groan came out from Trump supporters. Listen, man, Trump supporters keep defending this guy. He's getting tons of retweets. He's getting tons of followers. He's going to break 1 million followers. Eventually, he's going to get banned. He shouldn't be banned. And Lynn Wood is the perfect example of why you don't ban people. Trump supporters need to disavow this guy, and they needed to have done it a long time ago. When he started saying crazy stuff, and I said, look, I wasn't even that harsh on the guy. You know, his first stuff about Dominion and these conspiracies, I was just like, I think it's bad for Trump. I think it's making Trump supporters look like lunatics. And clearly, Trump supporters are not lunatics. There are some lunatics who are also Trump supporters, and there are many lunatics who are leftists as well. Everybody has their bad bunch. Trump supporters are no exception. Lynn Wood is prominent and being propped up by a lot of people who, well, are being taken for a ride. It's no different than, say, like Alyssa Milano saying dumb things like a mask will protect you more than an AR-15. Oh, great. I'll remember when the wild animal, the boar, is on my property or the bear is coming, that I've got a handy mask to throw at the bear. What a stupid statement. You cannot allow people like this to become the most prominent with shock content, conspiracy accusations, and claims that Epstein is still alive. You know what? Even the most ardent conspiracy theorists I know don't think he's still alive. That's the craziest thing. I know there are some people who do think so. I guess Lynn Wood's one of them. But you ask people and they'll talk more about how somehow someone broke into the hospital, got past the guards, and they're like, because somebody's in it. You know what I mean? Could you imagine? I want to make a joke. I'm not going to say it. But the joke was, the sentiment from conspiracy theorists is usually that something was an inside job. Now I'm not trying to pull an Ilhan Omar when I say that. I'm saying just in general, they usually say like Gulf of Tonkin or, 9/11 or Northwoods, inside jobs, right? Well, he's saying that no. Epstein's actually alive. That's what he's claiming? Okay. Sure. He says a couple more questions for Chief Justice John Roberts. You were recorded discussing Justice Scalia's successor before date of his sudden death. How did you know Scalia was going to die? Maybe he didn't. Maybe Scalia was an old man. I'm pretty sure all of the Republicans had many conversations for years about who would be the successor to Ruth Bader Ginsburg if she died. Could you imagine if they were like, didn't they like once publish an obituary in accident on TV? Like, it happens all the time. How did they know? Are you a member of any club or cabal requiring minor children as initiation fee? Oh, jeez. Dude, the Epstein stuff is crazy, crazy stuff. And it's crazy how it was swept under the rug by major news organizations. But listen, man, is it possible that Justice Roberts is involved in a cabal? Yes, it is. Like I said, it exists within the realms of physical reality. But dude, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. I tell you. After painting Roberts as a murderous abuser, the far-right attorney went further down the QAnon rabbit hole by bringing up deceased trafficker Epstein, suggesting the Chief Justice was mixed up in trafficking children. This is too much, man. Wood did not immediately respond to a request for comment. The following morning, however, things only got weirder as Wood went further down the rabbit hole, claiming that Epstein is alive and could reveal the truth. Despite many in Trump's orbit declaring war on Wood after he pushed for a boycott of the Georgia Senate races, the president himself has personally kept in touch with the firebrand. Trump has not only encouraged Wood and Powell to continue their Kraken lawsuits, he also hasn't told them to tone down their rhetoric, which much to the dismay of many Trump advisors. Here we have Asawin Subsang saying, imagine being able to outflank Rudy Giuliani on voter fraud conspiracy theories. For what it's worth, both Linwood and Sidney Powell have kept in touch with Trump over the phone or in person in recent weeks, even as the campaign and other parts of official Trump world tried to new phone who dissed them both. Okay. I got some theories, I guess. But I will point out, look at this from the Daily Beast. They saturated Giuliani to make him orange, and they did the same thing to Trump. Why? It's so creepy that they do this. You know what? I got my own conspiracy theories. I'm joking, by the way, but I'm going to tell you what my joke is. Trump is bringing on Powell and Linwood because he knows he's losing. He's about to leave office. There's not going to be any great overturning of the election. And he's trying to make his most ardent supporters think like he's fighting to the bitter end, and then they're going to lose. I think, the more he does this, the more people leave the room. That's what I've been saying about regular people coming on board. The more Trump encourages this, the more Trump is involved with this, the more Sidney Powell and Linwood say what they've got to say, the more regular Americans, working class Trump supporters, like wave their hand and go, I am so out of this. This is nuts. And then they're not going to be there on the 6th. Because if you've got people like Linwood getting up there and screaming about Epstein being alive, I mean, you'll find your audience of ardent, conspiracy theorists and stuff like that. Regular people aren't going to show up. And maybe that's the play. Maybe that's the plan. I don't know. I don't know how else to say it, But I guess if people really want to believe in this stuff, by all means, you're free to do so. But don't be surprised when one day you're sitting in a room with like 50 people wondering where the tens of thousands went, because you could get a massive, a really big group of people to come out and support the president and push back against Biden, who's clearly corrupt and crooked. You could get it. But you have to approach them on reasonable grounds. And this isn't. I'll say this. Maybe all these conspiracies are true. Maybe everybody's right. Maybe Linwood hit the nail on the head. Sure. I'll tell you this. You cannot take someone and just tell them something crazy and expect them to believe it. There's like this old story about, actually, I probably shouldn't tell that story because it comes from, India and it's ancient. So I'll probably get in trouble for saying something. They'll claim it's racist, whatever. The idea is, if you find a group of people who are, believing something, the first thing you're supposed to do to engage the group is find a rapport with them, not challenge them, right? So if you meet someone, you don't know who they are, you don't know if they're left or right, you first want to identify what you agree with so you recognize, hey, we're friends, right? Typically in sales, they do something like, where are you from? It's like, oh, yeah, great city. And then you compliment them. You say, yeah, I've always wanted to go there, or I've been there, or I grew up there. And you build a rapport based on that. Then when you give them some contradictory information or something they don't want to hear, well, they're already feeling like they can trust you. That's how rapport works. If you go to regular people and tell them this stuff about like Epstein and all that, you're not building rapport at all. You're scaring them away because it's not just about rapport. It's about they want to fit in too. And maybe they might believe it, but they're like, dude, that's too much. I'm going to get insulted and smeared and attacked by other regular people too. You come out and say there's fraud and there's evidence and we've seen it. And yeah, okay. You come out and say Epstein is alive. I tell you, man, getting a little bit too spicy for my blood for some time now. But of course, I get ragged on by hardcore Trump supporters saying that I've been disrespecting them. Listen, it's not about respect or disrespect. It's about a reasonable approach to what's happening in this country. And if the hill you want to die on is that you want to side with Lynn Wood saying these things, you're free to do so. You don't have to watch my content. You can yell at me and insult me all you want. That's fine. So be it. I'm going to be over here and I'm going to say what I think is the truth. I'm going to talk about what I think is going on and give you my honest opinions. My honest opinion right now is that Lynn Wood is off his rocker and he is doing more damage to Trump and the Trump movement than any individual person could. And if you don't want to hear that, I don't know what to tell you, man. But I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up over at 4 p.m. Over at 4 p.m. at youtube.com/Timcast, which is in fact a different channel from this one. Happy New Year's, everybody. And, I'll see you at 4. Check it out. You can also search on YouTube for Tim Pool. It's a different channel, and I will see you all then.